Today, we will be taking a look into the Frankenstein mirror. Mary Shelley just became the monster's reflection. The modern Prometheus, the work that will take Mary Shelley's name to stardom, has been the epitome of the English Gothic literature for ages now. Its popularity has inspired all kinds of horror films, musical theater, and even later possible sequels of this work. To emphasize, the characters of this romantic piece of art are pure literary gold, from the mains to the secondary. Having mentioned this, there's a particular personality in this scene that can be posed near Mary Shelley's portrait and they will look just the same, and it's the monster. In clear perspective, both Mary Shelley's and Victor's creations' lives can be classified as a vortex of strange suffering and difficulty. Along those same lines, we can also identify other clear characteristics shared that will prove the needle knot of a clear resemblance between Mary Shelley's life and the monsters. Sickening doubt and false hope must have checkered our days. It's the best way to get everything started and address the elephant in the room between the monsters and Shelley's unfortunate life events. Shelley was an English rose, possessed by the love of a man and a family that disowned her for it. Lots of the inspirations for her Gothic writings came from the sentimental letdown felt by trying to expose her art to her relatives, like every other child would, yet received the neglection and ignorance based on pride. Moreover, Shelley's life was also succumbing into a deep hold of abandonment and neglect, not just by her father, a wealthy and affluent individual with the whole capacity of a turnaround in the author's life, but by other love members. From the other side of the mirror, we have the monster, who was abandoned by his creator, also his father, the only lace of love and the original handmaid of his nightmareful ugliness, Victor Frankenstein, who ran every step he could not to confront his horrendous monstrosity, to quench his everlasting thirst of hearing. They both share the impact of an absent loving figure. Adding to that, it can also be inferred that both of these figures experienced the loss of hope in seeking a new happy outcome. To picture this, we can take a look at the monster's interaction with the DeLacy's family. His emergency self-owned family, where he thought he would finally encounter his place of protection. They ended shooting him, as they were horrified and disgusted by his terrible appearance. Along with this, we have Shelley's biology attack, leaving her absolutely sick quite before the death of her lover. More than that, leading her to lose her children to death, and with a big source of misery and tribulation for losing her highly desired evergreen family. If I cannot inspire love, I will cause fear, said a monster created by the sentiments of being unwanted. Full of hurt and desire of vengeance, Victor created a titan, with more than one reason to strike powerfully and plenty of motives, besides a spooky look, to indulge terror and frighten the lands. Monsters are created. They are confectioned by a society that decides not to be comprehensive to particular situations. If we take a look one more time in the reflection, Mary Shelley can be also classified as just another monster of the Romantic Gothic era, partly created by the energy of literature and different takes on emotion, such as the highly likeness of including darker attitudes on romantic subjects. Sensitiveness and benevolence connect these two otherly romantic-inspired monsters. Frankenstein's creation caused fear using his strength and despicable look to infuse the terror in his victim's eyes. However, in his heart, the intentions were just broken and disappointed by a reality he was just forced to live in. On the other hand, Shelley caused fear by her unapologetic art, dirty, bloated, gore-coven maroon color writing. Art was just her weapon to also combat and mortar stereotypes of an incomprehensive society that in fact criticized and belittled her work just for using horror as a source. Mary and the monster are just both results of prejudice, and they are surely not strangers to each other. She claimed to be visited once by a monster on a summer vacation, and it is my belief they handshook at some point. The fallen angel becomes a malignant devil. We can use this difficult to understand paradox to embrace that even in both storylines, the villain has its particular similarities. Acknowledging this, it is somehow close to undoubtful that if we closely address the modern Prometheus correctly, we will find out at the end that the monster is just another victim. Moreover, the reality is that he is not, never was, and never will be the real antagonist of his life tale. He tried to be a loving creature. Nonetheless, society norms and rejection just made it impossible. Right here, we may have an extra crystal clear reflection to compare, as Mary Shelley's ankle breaking point was also occasioned by unfair public ruling. Bringing this to life, we can remark that Mary Shelley received the public recognition of her work quite some years after the Romantic Gothic period finished. A female monster of the Romantic era buried into a male-dominant literature exposure and hidden behind a man's alias. In the same hand, we have Victor's creature, gusting over the walls of families, reading and unconscious learning as an act of rebellion to prepare his vengeance and become the best version of his formidable self. In my opinion, this clearly shows the antagonist of both stories, image. It ends up being the only importance of life. The need of maintaining a reputation tends to make us dive into our thinking and fulfill ourselves in fear, such as Victor did, or Shelley's father, Lord Byron, and even Percy as well. In conclusion, the creature is just Mary Shelley's twin. They sure share some outstanding moments. Nonetheless, the suffering and disgust shines way more. I personally believe that whenever one look at each other's reflection, they could see opposite images. The monster stirred Shelley's broken heart, her need to shine, to show that beautiful smile and expose her papers where she was sitting in her father's lap, explaining galvanism and engines. Whereas Shelley could see the monster's yellow skin over her, reading Paradise Lost's last lines over the river sunset, with Victor on his side, sat on the green fields laughing. Mary Shelley mentioned once she will not marry another man later than Percy's death, because spending her life with a monster, she will not be able to share herself with another man. Some say it might be referring to Percy's bad habits, but in my opinion, she just referenced her persona when she mentioned the word monster.